Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, we got Sean and Bethany with Trash Pandas, and they're going to be giving us some insights into their business and how they went from zero to $280,000 in sales selling clothing. So it is awesome to have you guys on because I wanted to have you on for a while. I'm here to learn, and I want to know kind of how it all started. I want to lay the foundation first. I want to know, what is the backstory? Like, give us a little insight into how you went from zero to 280K, and what did the beginning look like?
Yeah, I'll definitely let Bethany take that away a little bit because she started the business by herself a few years ago.
I did, and we were so excited to be on.
Yeah.
So I started the business probably like 2019 or 2020. Yeah. By myself. I was in school full time. I was in college at the time. And we were about to have a huge move. And I was thinking to myself, I cannot keep working jobs while in college, 2 different jobs. I need something that not only while I'm full-time working, I could make some type of full-time income, still doing something and having time. And I fell into reselling in the beginning of 2020. Started after a big move. And as time went along, it got bigger and it got bigger. And Sean joined probably like 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. And that's how we got to this point.
Yeah. When I joined Bethany, she was doing probably around 8,000 a month by herself. So she was doing about 8,000 a month by herself. And that was when I hopped in.
Cool. So you moved, you were like in Texas, right?
Originally, we were in Brooklyn, New York, and then we moved from Brooklyn to Austin, Texas.
Wow. And now in the Bay Area.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So previous clothing knowledge and reselling experience before that was like minimal, or did you have to?
Yeah, nothing. All from the ground up. Years, definitely. It took to at first only selling designer brands that sold well, then to a whole different phase of our business where we sold a lot of style based, a lot of vintage, a lot of keyword heavy sourcing.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. If I can take a second to talk about that, I think a lot of clothing resellers when they first start out are stuck at going to a lot of stores, and they're also having a lot of competition because everybody kind of has the same knowledge when you're first starting out. You know, brands like Lululemon, Athleta, high-end designer brands, Gucci, Prada, but there's a lot of in between that a lot of people don't know about. And then I'm excited for Bethany to talk a little bit about how she kind of learned keywords and how to market your items to sell. And the reason why she even had to learn that stuff, which I want her to talk about, because she's the queen of keywords, in my opinion, and of my life, but queen of keywords.
Yeah.
But she was shopping this is when I kind of hopped in the business. But she was shopping at thrift stores, and she was making $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month in sales, and really only bringing home maybe $2,000, maybe $2,500 in net take home. And she was getting ready to graduate, and she came to me and she said, "I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to be able to sustain this full time with only making $2,500 a month ish." So I had the idea. I was like, well, why don't you go to the Goodwill outlet? Because she told me about this. And that is the impetus of why we've had to be so keyword heavy, how we've grown the business with marketing. Yeah. And it's not just the Goodwill outlet itself. It's being forced to sell items that other resellers didn't know about, couldn't sell, or didn't want to touch. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Man, there's that cheesy saying that knowledge is power, but it truly matters so much when you're reselling clothing. And I agree, everyone knows the Lululemon, the Carhartt, the North Face, but when you really have an edge is when you can go to the bins and after it's been picked over by all the vintage kids and everything, and you're still able to find that $100 dress, that $50 jacket that's like, what? Like, is this real? This is just sitting here. That knowledge and that refinement is key because more and more people are entering the reselling game. And if you can just be one step ahead, you're going to come out with more stuff, with your time spent. Right. And you guys are just crushing at the Goodwill bins. I applaud you for that. That's not an easy, way to go about, but you guys make it work because you are so knowledgeable in the brands, in the styles. So now, like, bring it back to the present. Like, what are you guys focusing on now? Like I know you do wholesale, you do and you sell on multiple platforms, but like where is your business now? What are you focusing on and what are you trying to improve upon it in the business?
Can you talk a little about it?
Yeah. So as of right now, our business is a beast of many different things all at once, because the business that we've created has always been for one goal, is to give us the freedom to create the life that we want, right? So moving to San Francisco, I knew that the same type of reselling business would not work, right? Like we had a 4,000 active item store, all stored in a 2-car garage. You get that kind of space when you're living somewhere like Texas. You don't exactly do that here in the Bay Area. So we had the idea late 2022 to start wholesaling to other resellers. And that took off. And then mid last year, we converted into almost completely doing wholesale to other resellers. So thrifting clothing at the Goodwill outlet and then reselling it to other sellers who would then sell it on eBay, Depop, Poshmark. We don't only do that now. So the business has changed yet again. We are constantly looking to adapt, to pivot, to make more money doing what we love. So we added Whatnot into the business. We have a small store and we sell high-end items ourselves. And we, of course, still wholesale to other resellers too.
Yeah. And we've also, we're working on the social media part of it. That's another thing that we're hoping to grow in the future. And we have a group that we run with another reseller, Kaylee Elaine, as well.
Yeah.
So all these little things, I think Bethany hit home, which is just we're working on growing the business. And I think a lot of the time it's so easy to look at clothing reselling as just I take clothes and flip it. Whereas there's so many different facets and so many different ways to do that. And we've just kind of adapted it to try to do the best that we can to grow in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a common problem is just from being in it for the last couple of years is like, how can I find inventory? How can I source inventory? And that wholesale aspect is key. Like you guys starting that wholesale, you're filling such a major need and problem because not everyone lives next to a Goodwill outlet. There's people that live in Mississippi and Kentucky, and there's like, it's hard to find the good quality stuff. So that is a need right there in the industry that you're fulfilling and you're adding value. So that's awesome. I want to actually pause and talk a little bit. You guys just started Whatnot. I want you to touch on that. I think you just finished your first month without really much of a following on there. Like, what was your experience like on Whatnot?
So this is interesting and it's a lot of fun too. So we wanted to start doing Whatnot because we were wholesaling certain pieces. I'm very transparent, so sorry if I give a lot of numbers. I like to talk numbers because I feel like a lot of people in business don't like to talk numbers, and that always got me upset because I want to know the dirty details, So for us, we were reselling to other Whatnot sellers for about $450 a piece. And because we're doing so much volume, we were sending, sometimes 300-400 pieces a week, oftentimes over 300. If we could even just make $1 more per piece, you're talking about $300 to $400 more per week. So we had the idea, well, let's try Whatnot and see if we can go from $450 to maybe $650 and then take away fees and see what happens there. And we did, and we're averaging about $850 a piece as of last month. And our first full month on Whatnot, we did about 9,200 or 9,300 with nothing. Yeah. We had no followers, no nothing. I like when people say, well, you had an Instagram following. We had 2,000 people on Instagram. And our first show, we actually had 50 or 60 people on our show and only did $400 in sales.
Mm-hmm.
As of our last show, we had over 1,000 followers and we did about 1,026 in sales last Friday. And that is in 1 month. And that's just because the biggest thing I could say about it, and I just like with value stuff, is we are very, very much so about learning, and adapting before we actually go into something. So we spent 2 or 3 months learning about Whatnot, seeing what worked, strategizing. And then from there, when we went into Whatnot, we already had a good game plan going into it, which I think a lot of people just kind of jump into a platform or jump into a new venture and don't think through the steps before they get there. And then they're surprised when it doesn't work out,
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a beautiful thing right there. So the numbers, I think a lot of people get the hesitation from going on Whatnot. Like, I'm not going to make very much money. Oh man, it's not worth it. I'll just list it on eBay. But you're selling $1,200 in sales in one show. Is that right?
1,026. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 1,026. And that was in that month, you did what, like 12 shows out of the 30 days?
I think so. Yeah. Cause we did
Yeah.
2, and then 3, 3, 2 or
Mhm.
something like that. So I think it was 12 or 13 shows.
Yeah.
And your shows are what, average an hour long, or do you just
No.
go till you sell?
So this is the number one tip that I would give, and we are brand new. I like to always like preface that because I think we like to take 9 days of data points before we actually can say this is proven. But from our experience and from what we've seen on Whatnot, what makes it so people actually stay in your show, they bid up, they come back, is it's a show. It's not you just getting on, at least from my experience. Unless you're someone who has a very big following, then yes, people are just going to show up to your show and they're going to go from there. But we didn't. So our strategy was, how can we make this a show, entertainment, fun? We could run through the 90 pieces that we have in an hour, hour and a half. Our shows are 3 hours long. And the reason why is because we welcome everyone. We talk to everyone. We make jokes. We have fun. We have dance time. We have first-time buyer celebrations. We make it an experience so that when people buy from us, not only do they enjoy the stuff that they're getting, but they're coming back just to hang out. And when they come back to hang out, we have more numbers in the show. When you open up Whatnot and you see that there's 46 people in a show, you're gonna click on a higher show that has more people in it. And then when you direct people, follow us, bookmark our shows, do this, do that, engage with them. That is like the impetus of what I've seen help so much in that 1 month,
Yeah. There's a huge personal brand aspect to that. Like, people aren't just buying your items, they're supporting you, they're getting to know you. And there's a whole new, value to that. And I really think like that authenticity, getting to know the person behind Trash Pandas, you guys, and being able to provide, whether people are buying it to wear it or to resell it, you're just like building that personal relationship, what I like to call like super fans. You're building a bond with people that are going to be, repeat customers, repeat buyers,
Yeah.
rather than, just running through the show. It's like, all right, bid on the shirt. Here you go. See you later. Um, and I think that's a whole new value add, especially in today's like AI world and all this fake stuff going around. So that's cool. I have your YouTube channel linked down below if you guys want to check it out. They break down the numbers more in detail, but it's really cool to follow that story and journey. I love getting to know how people got started, where they're at now, and you guys are just crushing it. 2024, a couple years into this. Now I want to know, like, since you're a couple, what does the typical like day in the life look like? I see your stories. You guys are hustling at the bins. What is an average day? Are you just going to the bins for like 30 minutes and leaving, or what does it look like?
Oh man. I think the average day looks different now than it would have been like maybe 6 months ago due to us moving. We do go to a different type of Goodwill outlet now. Our days are filled. So we have super long days. We wake up at about
5:30.
5:30 to be at the Goodwill outlet by about 6:30-ish in the morning. Because the Goodwill outlet we go to now is not just a regular Goodwill outlet. They also offer bulk purchasing options. They do pallets, they do auctions, stuff like that. And our sourcing model uses a combination of both that and regular dinking as you would at a Goodwill outlet. So that fills up the entire morning, probably, right? Like 7 10-ish. We have a warehouse unit close by. That's where you see us right now. And then we come here, we prep the items, we sort the items. Sean ships the items. He is our resident shipper and he is awesome.
Mhm.
I picture items if need be, and we prepare for our shows. So we run shows 3 days a week at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those go for about 3 hours, and then it's 7, and it is time to head home.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know, every bins is different. There's more, they're just different. Sometimes they can have pallets, not just pure digging. Would you guys say you're both doing the sourcing? Do you guys go together, or one or the other?
Yeah. So Bethany, we both go in the morning and we often get 2 or 3 boxes. So the actual really big boxes, and we sort through those. Sometimes we get 4 if they have enough, or sometimes we might try to do an auction, but it's very competitive.
Mhm.
But So we'll do that in the morning. And then while Bethany maybe does the first rotation, I'll head back to the warehouse and start shipping items. I'll prepare different things and kind of get that done for the day, because we have 1 day shipping now that we're on Whatnot. So we get that done. We still have wholesale orders that go out, and we saw, maybe 300, 400, 500 items a week that we're shipping out for wholesale across different categories. So those have to go out too on a certain schedule. And we've gotten our work week down to 4 very long days in the actual, like outside of the house. So we also work one or 2 days from home for other things like creating content and also working on our group. But we have 4 days that we're outside of the house. So those 4 days are like, we're up at 5:30, out of the house at 6, we're at home until about 8. So those are pretty long days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the best things is you get to work for yourself, right? Like people, I think a common thing, especially in the recent, like, should I even get started reselling? It's saturated, blah, blah, blah. I think that's just a lot of, excuses. But like, what would you say maybe for a person looking from the outside in, would you think it is even worth starting a resale business in 2024, or think it's like a little too competitive now?
100%. It is always worth it. I think it's going to sound so corny every time we say this, but I know that there's always a lot of discourse, right? Like, yes, there are so many more resellers. I mean, there's so much more competition. People are starting, they are stopping reselling every day, right? Like, there's new faces at the bins, there's old faces at the bins, and you stop seeing them all together. Through it all, that's why, honestly, like, we've always ran our business with blinders on, right? Like, it has always been us against us. How can we better ourselves? And that is why the knowledge comes into play. It doesn't really matter how many other people are nearby when I'm digging in a bin in a rotation. If I can just rely on myself, knowing that, yeah, maybe other people went through it before me, but they left pieces behind for me, because I know about things that sell for me, or things that sell that maybe everyone doesn't know. And that is how you become a reseller in 2024. It's about being able to sell things that maybe other people have written off. It's about being able to sell things other people don't know about, and reselling the things that work best for you, right? Because you go online and there's all these things about, these are the brands you have to sell, and this is what you have to sell. And we've done the same, right? In our experience, yeah, that's what sells best for us. And I think that the individualized experience is what makes or breaks it in reselling in 2024, which is why we're so heavy on just jump in, like, experiment, find what works for you, fail again, and then go hard on the things that work.
I think you said a really good thing, Bo, when you said people like to make excuses. Bethany is the sweetheart of the conversation. I'm always the same way, where I'm just thinking to myself, everything is hard. Like, everything that you're going to pursue, if you want to have freedom in this, in an X or Y way, is difficult, right? I have so much admiration and respect for my wife, because when she started doing this, she knew nothing about style, nothing about brands, nothing. We started in a 1-bedroom apartment, putting clothes under the bed. And that was only 4 years ago. And there's always ways to innovate. There's always ways to change. You just have to be better. And unfortunately, that's the direction that we're moving in. And if you're not better, or you're not willing to put in the work, don't start any business. Just don't do it. You're going to disappoint yourself. You're going to lose money. You're going to, waste your time. But if you're willing to put time into it, I think reselling is, especially as we see Gen Zs moving towards the secondhand market, and we see millennials opening up to the secondhand market, and we see even a lot of boomers who are going thrift shopping at stores, maybe not always online, but a lot of people who are willing to buy secondhand and wanting to buy secondhand. We see brands like Lululemon and a lot of these places that are buying back. They have buyback programs because they know people are willing to, trade in old clothes for new things. And it's such a willingness to learn. And if you can do that, you will be successful. We just started our YouTube channel. YouTube is started in 2006. I know we're going to crush it, because we're going to put the work into it, and we're not going to make excuses that YouTube's been around for 20 years. We're just going to do the work. And if it takes 3 years, then it takes 3 years. If it takes 6 months, then that'd be great. You know what I mean?
It's all opportunity. It's what you make of it. And you can make so much of it, really.
Yeah. No, 100%. There was a report last year, I think I looked at it, but ThreadUp did a report. The secondhand market's supposed to triple by 2026, 2027. So to say it's saturated, or, oh man, I can't make any money doing this, there's going to be 3 times the amount of buyers that are going to come to these platforms in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, you guys are gonna if you crush it on Reseller, you're gonna crush it on YouTube because you take personal responsibility. And I think that's a thing that's lacking in today's culture. I truly believe your ability in life is trapped in your responsibility. Who wants to get up at 5:30 in the morning and go dig through clothes? Who wants to do all these things? But the reward and the fulfillment that comes from it is way more fulfilling than building someone else's business. You're either building your own or you're building someone else's. Which would you rather have?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you guys know you probably have a vision to where you're not going to be doing this when you're 80. You're probably going to hire out some processes. You're probably going to build it like a real business. And I just think like you're taking something you've mastered and now you're teaching it and you're creating such value to the community. For I go back to when I started in 2020, to be able to learn from people doing it on a higher level is the thing to do in any business. You want to learn from the people that are doing it on a bigger scale. And you guys are providing that value on your channel. You have a group. Even Kaylee Elaine's stuff has been so helpful to kind of synthesize information, especially when it comes to women's clothing, and to break it all down in a 30-minute video. That's really helpful. And yeah, you're right. Like it's more than just the brand; it's learning the styles, and that's key for getting that one step ahead. And I know you guys are going to crush it on YouTube. I love seeing the content, so that's great. Very helpful. I know that this didn't come without struggle. Was there maybe anything that you guys wish you could have done over, or like if you were to start over, what's something that you probably would have avoided, or
Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing. The failures are what build you.
Yeah.
We have failed. Like I wish I could show you our bank account. How many months we went from like that much to 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 2 months up here and then 3 months down here. And I think people are so afraid of that and like they want to avoid the failure. It's kind of like when a parent is trying to make you not do something and then you do it anyway and they're trying to make you avoid their mistake. But the reality is that the best way to experience 99% of issues, obviously you never want to have anything really life drastically changing, going homeless or something happen to you. But for most people, the most impactful thing you can experience is the pain. For most people, the most practical thing you can experience is like the lessons that you learn from those failures. So I'll let Bethany talk a little bit about it, but we talked about this morning. It's funny you asked that. And we were like, you know what? Would I change any of that stuff that we made like really drastic mistakes? No, because we wouldn't have been able to triple our sales or double our sales or, find a way to simplify a process if we didn't do that.
We have made some huge transformations in our business in only a short amount of time to bring it to a point where like sometimes I look around and I'm like in shock, that like we've come from me starting, like he had to push me to start this business. This isn't something I'm naturally inclined to do. I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I thought I was going to go to college, get my computer engineering degree and be on my way. And that is not how life worked out. And I'm so grateful, I think the biggest thing is we've always pushed ourselves so hard, probably too hard. And I don't regret it one bit because we were going to the Goodwill outlet 7 days a week for months at a time. When we had our goal of moving here, especially, we knew we needed to make extra money to save it, give ourselves that cushion. And we went every single day to the bins for months in Texas on end.
From 9 to 12. We were going from 9 to 7 p.m., 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., coming home, picturing, listing, wholesaling, 4,000 item store. Plus we were wholesaling to 5 or 6 people. And that was the worst part of the, honestly,
that is probably the hardest thing we've ever done. And I'm grateful that we did it because we can do anything now. If we did that, we got through it. We crushed it. We got to where we wanted to be because we put in the work and we did what we wanted to do. And we just continue to be able to give ourselves the opportunity to achieve what we want in our business because you go through that and you just come out stronger,
Yeah. I guess just expand on what kept you going, in those long days. Was it seeing the sales come in and knowing like, "Hey, I bought something last week and it sold for 10x the money. Do I just need to dive deeper in this?"
I think people just play a short game. People are always worried about the short game. They're not worried about, and this is so funny because this is not a reselling thing. This is just a life thing. People are always worried about the short-term gratification, the short-term goals. Whereas we know, like, for example, when we were transitioning to Whatnot, we were actually like 95% confident that we were going to lose money for 3 or 4 months until we built an audience. Yeah. We were 100% ready to have all of our items sell for $1 or $2. That was the game plan going. And even though it didn't work out that way, and people are going to say, well, oh, it didn't work out, you did this much. But I was fully mentally, emotionally, and financially prepared for that to happen and for it not to even enter my brain space. That was 100% what we already spoke about and game planned and knew. We were 100% ready for it to take us 5 years to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I am fully prepared for that because I know on the 6th year, we'll be at 50,000. Like, there are people who are just playing short games, and I think that is why it affects them. Not in an offensive way. I'm not trying to be like disrespectful. I get it. We've been there. But it's just sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. And as long as you have a game plan, like, you can't just be suffering and there's no game plan. If you're just suffering and things are just going awfully and you're just waiting for the world to come hand you something, then it's not going to work out. But if you have an actual tangible game plan, for example, with like the social media that we're building, we're just giving as much value as humanly possible. We're not holding back. We're not going to do clickbait. We're just going to give everything we can. And if people don't sign up for a group because of that, okay. If people don't like the content, okay. If people don't like the way Bethany talks about a topic, okay. In 3 years, it's going to catch. And that's kind of the mindset we've always had,
Yeah, a principle. Giving is the prerequisite to receiving, like give, and then another principle, prepare for the worst and expect the best. You're preparing that it's going to take 5 years, but when it takes you 1 year, you're happy because you prepared for it to take 5 years. I love it. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm a lifelong learner. But I love learning from other people that have gone through it. It doesn't matter necessarily like what you go through, and people don't really care what you go through, but they care how you go through it. How are you handling it? How are you able to go from 0 to 280? How did you do that? And I think that's the new thing is, being authentic in that approach, sharing it online and getting people to like resonate with that, because there's a lot of people that I feel that want to start their own business, but they're maybe a little too comfortable at that job or that 9 to 5. So taking that leap of faith like you guys did, you went to school, and you were expecting to do computer engineering, and look at that 180. I love stories like that. And there's power in your guys' story. And the more you share it, the more people are going to be like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it.
Here's one for you. I dropped out of college after my first year, and I was a personal trainer, real estate agent, all these different things in New York. Then I moved to Austin, and I was basically a bum for like 6 months, just watching Bethany do really well and I was flipping. I was working a job, technically doing sales, but I was basically watching her grow and kind of cheering her on. And we were living off the savings that I had built up from my job. And I was kind of just bumming out, doing nothing. And I was flipping hard goods here and there. I was like I was going to the bins. I would flip hard goods and stuff. And exactly what you said, comfort is the enemy, is like contentedness is so much worse than pain. Contentedness and comfort is so much worse than pain. It is like the worst thing ever, because it's, why would I change? What reason do I have to do that? So I love that you said that and that you pointed that out, because that is something that is in every facet of our lives, whether it's with our weight or it's with our business or it's with our jobs or it's with our relationships. It's like the comfort it's that old expression where it's like, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not climbing the muddy mountain, then you're falling down it. And that is, So literally, when I started, that would be a good title for a video maybe we can put out. When Sean joined the business, he was a bum. Like that's basically I was feeding off of Bethany's plate. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah,
Good thumbnail for that
funny.
one. One thing that stuck with me just in this last season that we've been going through is pain now or pain later. You can either go through the sacrifice now of building something great, or you can have the pain of not doing it when you're 80. Do you want to have comfortability and, just moseying on through life, or do you want to build something substantial? Because in today's day and age, it doesn't take a team of 40 people to build $1 million business. That scale, the way to scale your business now can be done with one person. You see people selling on Amazon, flipping stuff everywhere. Now more than ever is the time to get into it, whether it's content creation, reselling on eBay. I think we just get these excuses in our head that someone else is doing it. I can't do that. Personal branding and being authentic and genuine is the new currency in the AI digital world today. People want to know who you are and they want to see what you value. So I love that. And yeah, you guys have, have a great story and a great testimony. Now I want to get into some of the clothing talk. You guys are very knowledgeable in clothing. What are maybe some of your favorite brands to resell? And this may vary, but what are some top?
What's your top one?
Well, the top ones for Bethany is definitely the keyword warrior.
I'm always very interested to see like what he's very interested in, because as a man who sells women, we do a lot of women's clothing. We do men's too, but a lot of what we find is women's. I'm always looking at him like, what are you looking for today?
Honestly, a lot of the pieces that we don't find them as much as we used to because San Francisco has a different demographic. But a lot of the pieces that I used to like picking up were like vintage ICE is a really cool one. I like picking up Victoria's Secret slip dresses. For us, that was really a gold label, especially. It was a really cool one. Obviously, the bread and butter, Lululemon, Athleta, stuff like that. But in terms of obscure brands, definitely I like styles. So Bethany always finds it funny because I'm just like this guy I used to have a really big rabbi beard. Like it was really, really big. Nice. And you just see me in the bins, especially in Austin, which was a really chaotic bins, just like picking up women's clothes and chucking it over my shoulder. So I like
a flower. It's going on his back.
Yeah. I like picking up like the crochet jacket with a bunny rabbit on it that some grandma knitted in the 90s and that some girl from Depop is going to buy for $120. That's what I love picking up personally. But yeah, it's actually, for me, it's not brands. I do love finding high-end stuff, but I love like the style-based stuff. And that's because of her. She influenced me.
I wanted to hear what you wanted to say so bad because I was going to say the same thing.
Well, you gotta give at least 2 or 3 brands. What are some brands you like?
One of our, without fail, every single time that we find Johnny West, every single time, that's one of my all-time favorites. Magnolia Pearl, we've gotten very lucky to find pretty often over the years for such a rare brand. I think for us, especially, the more eye-catching, the more embroidery the brand has, the more I want it.
It's been huge for us too lately.
Yeah, what we've been finding is a lot of high-end athletic wear. So we are now finding a lot of Viore. We're finding just a lot of very Alo Yoga. Very high retail athleisure brands is what we're now finding, when most of our sourcing in the past was done in Texas, and any big embroidery brand, it wouldn't even matter if we didn't know what it was. You would look it up. It had some like crazy colorful embroidery all over it. It is some Bolo brand. And that's the most exciting thing for us. And to this day, the more colorful, the more wacky, the more money it will sell for. And we're gravitating towards it.
Also, one brand I just remembered, Bluefish.
That one.
That's a really cool brand.
He likes the lag and look stuff.
It's a linen lag and look brand. And I remember I made the mistake one time of leaving it behind when we were in Austin, and someone else picked it up, and it was one of our friends in the bins, and she came over and she was showing Bethany. I was like, oh, I put that down. I wonder what that is. And we went for like $150. So first of all, it broke my heart. But second of all, it has a really cool logo on it, the brand Bluefish. And it's definitely a bolo. It's a linen bolo, especially moving into spring and summertime.
I love that. Yeah, so you're saying it's not just all about the brand, more importantly about the style to get these items to sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the styles changing all the time, I think putting that as top priority, learning what's trending is going to be key for a lot of beginners.
Yeah.
Rather than just finding the brand, getting it to sell is another aspect. Typing in the style code to put in the keywords to your eBay title or whatever will help increase the value, but also increase the speed in which it sells. Um, so yeah, I think like the never ending pursuit of knowledge and learning styles, learning brands will continue on. And I think when you stop that, your business kind of stops,
Yeah.
because especially with women's clothing, the styles come and go. Like, are you picking
Mhm.
up skinny American Eagle jeans? Probably not. you know,
Yeah.
um, can you speak on a little bit of what is trending style specifically? Like you mentioned log and look. I know that's a particular style.
Mhm.
What is something that people should be maybe gravitating to other than brand? Like what,
Yes.
like loud patterns? What do you
Uh-huh.
see?
Okay. Especially like seasonality specific. Right now, we are looking at crochet, especially. Since we're bin sourcers, we've always been very tactile. So we are heavily focused on material. So right now, 100% linen, crochet. In terms of jeans, very wide leg, flare legs, gorp core is everywhere. I'm looking for things that have a million different pockets, wide leg, cargo pockets. And more than that, it's also in your head having this type of almost feedback loop between the styles you're seeing and knowing how to list it. So think of it like a triangle, right? And like on the bottom is a foundation of keywords that we're building from. And from there, you can, as you're sourcing, be like, yes, I could definitely use this keyword for that item. We were very big sellers on Depop for a while, and a lot of our favorite keywords then are still here now. And yeah, you get some really weird ones that pop up here and there, but very common ones that are still very heavy right now. Very, very grunge, whimsigoth. Gorpcore is
Which
one that's witchy for sure. Yeah. And going from there and moving up is exactly how we like to think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I love that. And the cool part is it transfers over platform to platform. Depop. You guys sell on Depop, Poshmark, pretty much all of them. What would you say, like numbers wise, the majority of where sales come? Are you majority eBay or?
So our business is different now because we've
Mhm.
transitioned mostly to wholesale and whatnot. So it's very different. But as of 2023, we were about probably 40% eBay, 40% Depop, 10% Poshmark, and probably, I don't know, the rest was made up between wholesale and a little bit from Mercari and Facebook Marketplace. Right now, our business is probably it's a very, I don't know yet how whatnot's going to go, so I can't say
Yeah.
100% how it's going to transition, but I'd say it's probably a good like 50-50 split, maybe 40-60 in one
Mhm.
way or the other depending on how things are going. So that's a little bit hard to gauge, but yeah, it was very interesting because we went from when we were selling last year, we were shocked at how quickly Depop took off. So we started Depop in I think October, November of 2022, and within 3 months we were doing over $10,000 a month on Depop, and we were top 10 in the world for I think maybe, don't quote me, I don't know if Depop can check, but we were top 10 in the world at least like 7 times or 8 times, and that was over the course of 2 or 3 months, if not more than that, and that was only 3-4 months into a selling on it. So it kind of took a huge chunk out of eBay, which was a lot of resellers don't like cross listing or they don't like being on multiple platforms. And the reality is we didn't either. And we didn't think about it. But when we did start doing that, it was insane the growth that you can have, because if you have the strong keywords, things will sell differently across different platforms. If you have the right items, they will sell differently. Poshmark, we always sucked at. Like Poshmark, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Poshmark, I know like a lot of resellers who do well on it. For us, in the video we put out, I think Poshmark did like $7,000 of our 280 in 2023, and we cross-listed to it all the time. We relisted and delisted, like we did all the Poshmark things, and it only did whatever it was of that number. So
Yeah.
We could have worked harder at it if we like really sat down and came up with a game plan on it.
we tried a couple times, but
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's very impressive. Depop. there's the big talk of listing every day. Do you guys focus on listing every day on platforms and stuff, or are you just more wholesale now?
Yeah, so we do not list every day. We are almost 100% doing wholesale and whatnot shows.
Cool.
Everything that we would be buying and listing in our own stores previously, that's what we're now wholesaling to other resellers.
Right.
Who I hope they're listing every day as their best practice.
Yeah, definitely the advice would be like when we were listing 55 a day every single day. There was never a day that we missed. Even if we went on a vacation, we cut the listings, but we still listed every single day.
Nice.
Algorithm conspiracy theorists.
Yep. Yeah. No, there's a lot of info on that, and I don't want to get too into it. But yeah, I do agree. Listing every day versus not, you're obviously going to see a bit more traffic. So, what? Just side note, what cross listing app are you using? I know there's so many out there, but to manage all those different sales on every platform, what were you guys using, or what are you using now?
We were using Vendu, and we transitioned to List Perfectly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And they have like a auto, I know they just integrated that, but they have the auto sales detection and stuff, or I don't know what they have.
I know Vendu did. And I believe List Perfectly has integrated it, or they're in the process of it, if not.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, that for me, a while back, a couple of years ago, I was like, man, I can go on Poshmark, Mercari, but then I was like, well, then I got to manage all the things that sell. And once they started to integrate that feature, it's not perfect, but it does help. When you're selling 20 plus items a day, it's like, don't want to double sell stuff.
Yeah.
Bethany had to go like 2 or 3 times a day to adjust it for sure, because we were cross-listing to every platform. So Depop, Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. Those 4 we were cross-listing to, and we were listing 55 and selling about 50 a day, and we were still having to go in and like 2 or 3 times a day make sure things didn't double sell.
Just to be sure. Yeah, I'd rather be safe.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And it's just you two, husband and wife couple. There's no workers behind the scenes, or
we have had help in the past. Right now it's just the 2 of us, and Sean's mom also helps us out when she can. She helps me flaw check items. But we have had a photographer in the past too.
Yeah, we had a photographer and
also a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what a relief to transition from photos and listings to now wholesale. That streamlines the process, right? Like you're not, you check flaws and things like that, but you're not so concerned with 12 photos per item and getting the listings up. It's more of like, hey, I bought this today. Let's run it tomorrow in our show.
Before we were doing, so even now with Whatnot, we're obviously still pushing out about 1,000 items a week across the board, but we're doing that out of 200 square feet. So for anybody who's complaining about room, like I can send you our floor plan for our unit if you'd like. We literally operate the entire thing out of 200 square feet, and it's not even. It's a little cramped sometimes when we're in the middle of the week, but honestly, it's not that bad,
Yeah. We transitioned the business into a wholesale model fully, like because we knew that we were going to be limited on space, and we wanted to give ourselves a opportunity to create a different business that maybe other people haven't heard of before that might work better for us, because we have always excelled at sourcing. It's the reason why our stores did so well when we were listing on platforms. And we knew that, one, it would help other resellers so much in the community, and also be a really great plan for us.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it seems like you guys found what works, and then you just focused on getting better and concentrating on that. Because I know with reselling in general, you can be a little bit of like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. And you're kind of like split with so many different ideas that if you just focused on one thing and got really good at it, your business could explode like you've seen here. So I guess fast forward in the future, I'm a big vision guy. I like looking into the future. Share what you want, but where do you see the business in a couple years down the road, and like what would be ideal for you guys, let's say 3 to 5 years from now?
That's a good question. I mean, we're vision people, and we also get very in the dirt. So it seems like you might have listened to Gary Vee at some point in the past. If anybody hasn't, I like Gary Vee's cool, but I like that he talks about the clouds and the dirt, and a lot of people kind of get stuck in the clouds, and sometimes you got to be in the dirt. Right now, we're kind of in the dirt, so we're trying to work through that groundwork and just kind of being in it But I think what we're really aiming to do is, number one, we want to see how Whatnot goes over a 90 to 180 day span and kind of just see what that looks like in projections and what that can look like. And number two, I think honestly for us, it's really about how many days do I want to work? How much time do I want to put into that? And how much money do I want to make? Everything else will adjust. I don't know if tomorrow Whatnot shuts down. I don't know if tomorrow nobody wants to buy wholesale anymore. I don't know if tomorrow nobody wants to, eBay bans us. I don't know what's going to happen, right? I just know that like for us, we always have an end goal, which is for us a certain amount of money that we want to be making. For us, how many vacations we want to have. For us, what our home life will look like and our relationship growth will look like. And for us, that's kind of our vision, is like what we want that end outcome to look like. For the business, it doesn't matter what you throw at us. Like I'm not trying to say that to be facetious, but I think a lot of people get stuck in, I need to be an eBay seller, or I need to be a Poshmark seller, or I need to be a Whatnot seller, or I need to be a wholesaler. No, you're a reseller.
You can be anything.
You just, you buy something for a low amount of money, whether it's clothes or hard goods, and then you flip it for a price that you can profit on that's reasonable for the time and effort that you're putting into it. That's it. Doesn't matter what happens. You just kind of have to do that, you know? But ideally too, the content, I think we're having a lot of fun teaching. So the group that we have is growing too. And that's been a lot of fulfillment for us. We're very fulfilled with being able to help the reseller community in that way. And then the content too. We want to just keep pushing out content and help the reseller community in that way too. You know, Bethany's doing a lot of the recordings and editing, and we're brainstorming ideas, and we have a really cool game plan for content in the next couple months.
Yeah. Just like with YouTube, everyone says, oh man, that's saturated. I don't want to do it. I really think that's a bad mindset, especially when it comes to e-learning. There was a stat by Forbes or Business Insider, like the e-learning industry is going to explode over the next 5 to 10 years. And if you are good at something, not even like great, but good at something and you could teach it, that's a great business model. And people are going to vibe with your personality, how you teach. We all teach in different ways. So you can take something like what you guys have learned now and be very successful as long as you put in that discipline, that work, like you guys know how to do, and see something in 5 years from now where you're one of the top teachers in teaching reselling, you know? And I personally like content creation too. I mean, I love reselling, but nothing is more fulfilling to me to help someone get into something, like especially breaking free from the 9 to 5 and becoming their own solopreneur, entrepreneur. That gives me great fulfillment. I'm sure it does for you guys as well, because you came from those beginnings. Not saying there's anything wrong with the job, but I think profits are better than wages. You know, the Jim Rohn quote of like, you can scale profits. Wages are only going to pay you the value that you bring to the company. So if you can provide the value, like you guys say, which you are, that's kind of like unlimited. You know, you who knows where you guys will be, and that's why, you know, Kaylee Elaine too provides so much value, and resources are attracted to that value. So I'm excited. You guys just started your YouTube channel like 2 weeks ago. I think that's going to take off. What do you think? Like if people, because there's a lot of people like, hey, I can't find items, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you are still open, have slots open for wholesale, or should they just join your Whatnot show? How can people get stuff from you?
So unfortunately, we've been capped out for the past 7 or 8 months for wholesale, and I do not see us reopening probably ever, if anytime soon, just because of the sheer value. I mean, we have hundreds of people just on a wait list sitting there. So we even closed the wait list. And we don't really have, we actually recently had to drop a client because of the sourcing capacity that we're facing an issue with, unfortunately. So definitely not wholesale. But if they would like to come and check out items, we have Whatnot shows. On top of that, there's items everywhere. You know, we teach, it's so funny. Someone in the group that we're in recently told us they live in the middle of like nowhere in Texas. And they recently told us about a really cool opportunity that we spoke about on one of the calls that I like pushed it into their brain. I'm the idea person. Bethany's the implementation. I'm the idea person. We always talk about that. And they found a really awesome source that now they can go consistently to the thrift store and buy items super cheap just because they got to know an owner, you know, or there was somebody else who found a Salvation Army bins in their area and they didn't even know it was there. It was like 2 hours from their home, but they only have to source 2 hours a week instead of 2 days a week, excuse me, instead of 4 or 5 days a week. So I always like to throw that out there. There's some ideas for anybody watching. There's always a way to find inventory. Number one, it's by having that knowledge and understanding of what's selling and having your finger on the pulse of the market. And number two, it's really just being creative. It's asking your local thrift store, like, hey, so what do you do with items after 90 days?
Yeah.
Can I buy it for $1? If they say no, then they say no. You know what? There's so much. I could go on for that for hours because I love talking about that. But there's always a way to find stuff. There's always an excuse, but there's always a way to find stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Seek and you'll find. Ask and you'll receive. I think a lot of people are just, I want what's easy. We all wear clothes. They go somewhere. So even in Alabama, you can find it. And I agree 100%. So you're walking into a thrift store, and you guys can give some insight into that. You're walking into a thrift store. Where are you headed first?
I'm heading to the jeans first.
Okay.
I don't know why. I always probably will. Whenever I'm staring at a bin full of clothes at the outlet, because we do source primarily at the outlet, immediately I'm looking at jeans or if embroidery calls out to me. So as you're going through the rack, I'm looking first at jeans and then at anything interesting patterns on the rack.
Even when you were store shopping, you were doing that. No.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm a big jeans girl.
Yeah. And Sean, where are you headed?
I'm not going into a thrift store. Sean, I'm just joking. No, it's funny because the reason why I love this business is because people get into it and they're like, so what inspired you to get into it when you were a bum, Sean? And I'm like, well, my wife was making more money than me and I saw potential for a business to grow. So that is exactly what I saw that there was a scalable business model and I jumped on it. For me, yes, if I'm going into a thrift store, if we're being serious, I actually do like to go to the men's section because I'm learning about men's right now. So I'm trying to get more knowledge about men's. Like Johnny O is a really good brand. Outlier, Bethany's known about, but I've recently learned about Outlier, which is a really good brand for men's as well. Yeah. But yeah, so that was a little bit of a diversion, but yes.
Yeah. You're only going to find them in a good outlet, probably.
and it's only going to be when I'm working. I will never do it for fun. If someone wants to, like if a friend's visiting, they want to go to the Goodwill outlet, have fun. I'm gonna be at home doing something else.
It's my playground. But he definitely does it because he's good at it, and it really helps us out as a team.
Yeah, 100%. It's nice to have a team. So at the bins, I guess, give us a glimpse. Are you going through every single item in the bin? Because I see a lot of people jump in and swim around and throw stuff up in the air, but they're not like taking the time to go through every single item. Do you think that would give you a good competitive advantage, or?
That is the competitive advantage. That is the only strategy we've used for years, honestly. You talked about it a little bit, but the first bins we started our business off of in Austin, Texas is probably one of the most competitive, aggressive bins. And I don't say that to be funny because I love so many people that we met there. Like, it is an awesome environment when you sit down and talk to people, but the actual sourcing can be hard, and going piece by piece it's everything. It is everything. People miss so much. And when you go piece by piece, like the things that we have found, most things we find is because people leave it behind. Honestly, it is truly just the long dig, the hard dig, the discipline, and just look through every single item.
2 months ago at the bins, and even in San Francisco, which is a much less competitive bins, which is a more reason why people should be going piece by piece and taking their time. I found a Magnolia Pearl jacket, new without tags, in the corner of a bin rolled up with a blanket. And we listed it, I think, at $550. And it's something that was literally just sitting there because people, and this is the funny thing is, it's like the advice. If you listen to a lot of entrepreneurs now, they say, I'm going to give you all the secrets. And they do. And then nobody follows it. It's the exact same. We talk about this all the time when people ask us about that. And I'm like, piece by piece, I'm just looking up things I don't know about. They never do it. So hopefully people in your audience will do it. But I'm a man who knows nothing about women's clothes except for the things that I know from the business. Bethany listens to podcasts. She educates me. She's my teacher. Really, she meets with me and she tells me about brands and styles and aesthetics. But the reality is, when I first started, I was like, baby, look at this Gap t-shirt. Or look at this really cute maxi dress from Express. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about anything. but going piece by piece gives you the discipline, the time to not only learn brands, but learn styles, learn key, like have those things in your head, because you don't know anything about anything until you know something about something. You know, there's one of our friends, Shannon, she said, you can't trust your gut if you don't have one. And I think a huge way that you can gain a gut and you can gain that instinct is just touching as many pieces as possible and looking and looking things up and getting used to feel and getting used to, like she said, if I see something floral, it's over my shoulder. You know what I mean? If I see a patchwork pattern, it's over my shoulder. If I see a tacked on tag versus a plastic tag, it's over my shoulder. I don't care if I've never heard of it before. It's over the shoulder.
Those are all things we've talked about that we've discovered that it's probably an indication of something good that we want to look at. And that's what I ingrain into him. And now that we ingrain in our content, what we put out there, because other people can do the same.
Yeah. Discipline, discipline and looking through each item. I think people want, going back to our earlier convo, that instant gratification. If that vintage t-shirt is not on the top, easy for me to grab, I don't want to do it. Looking through items is physical. It's not like you're just sitting there. You're looking through items and you're working, but also too, you're finding stuff that people just don't want. You don't want that $500 jacket. It's interesting too, because I'll go to the racks more often than the bins, but I found a Musto yachting jacket that was on the last day getting ready to get pulled. So it'd been there for 3 weeks on the rack. I found it and I'm like, oh, Gore-Tex, this is cool. And then I looked it up and I go, these go for $300 to $500. It's $7. You almost like look around and wonder, like, is this like a joke or a prank? There's people that just want what's easy. And I think just with anything in life, if you just put in that extra bit of work, you can have that 6-figure business. You can run your own business. Things are also easy, but they're easy not to do. It's easy, versus like digging trenches and holes and doing other manual labor. Digging through clothing at the bins where there's typically air conditioning is easy, but it's also easy not to do. Like it's compared to like more other labor work. And I just am shocked, I'll come across brands that do sell for a couple $100 and you're just wondering, like, did no one just stop to take the time to look it up? And I think that's the case. No one wants to pull up their phone. They want the Patagonia easy to find stuff. But when you take the time to look the stuff up, you're like, wow, I was about to pass it up, that jacket.
The easier the action,
the
easier the action, the less people will do it.
Yeah.
The easier it is to post 3, 5, 10 videos on a social media a week, the less people are going to do it. I've been training Muay Thai for a little bit over 3 years. I've been injured for 2 months. That's why I say trained. But the easier it is to throw a jab, the less people want to throw a jab. Wow, the easier it is to learn how to throw your right kick, the less people want to learn how to throw the right kick. With reselling, the easier it is, just pick up a piece that looks interesting and just look it up. The less people are going to do it. And that's why we're always going to crush everybody in our competition. And that's why if people do the same thing that we're doing, because we're not special, you will crush 99% of people because you're doing like 1% better than them.
Yep.
You just have to do 1%. If you're doing 20 or 30%, like I know you are, and I know we are, and like Kaylee is, you're going to absolutely destroy everybody else. But if you're only doing 1% better, that 1% over a marginal amount of time, there's a great book called The Compound Effect by Dan Hardy. It's an awesome book. It's like, if you just do that one little thing over and over and over again, that's how you crush. You just do a little bit better. And I love that because it's so easy to beat everybody. And it's not like, the thing that I always like too is there's in reselling, people are always focused on not just reselling, but business. Everybody's focusing on competing. There's no competition. I don't want to beat you by tearing you down. I want to beat you by being better than you. I want you to win just as much as I do, which is why Beth and I are putting out this content. We want to see like so many people succeed. But we have videos that have like 15, 20, 50,000 views on Instagram. And of those 50,000 people seeing a video about how to do a step-by-step process, maybe 3 are actually going to do it. Yeah. And that's not an insult. This is a call to action for those who are listening that are saying to themselves, well, how do I just do it? Just literally go and do the thing that was laid out for you step by step to do. And that's it. Like just pick up the pieces and look them up. You know, when I did hard goods, I literally didn't know anything about hard goods. And this one guy at the bins, his name is Samir. He's an awesome human being. He goes, "Oh, I just pick them up and I look up the item number or the model number." And I was like, "That's all you do?" And he goes, "That's all I do." And
Right.
I started going to store. I didn't know anything about anything. I went to every single electronic and I just looked up the thing. I was doing about $5,000 a month in sales on eBay just with stuff like that. And I was working like 20 hours a week, just going to stores and messing around. And it wasn't a lot because I was maybe netting like 2 because the cost of it was higher. But I just went and looked stuff up, you know,
Yeah.
and I love that. I love that conversation so much because it's so important for people to hear that Bethany especially, I give all the credit in the world to her, just no knowledge, no information about how to do anything. Just went on the internet, listened to podcasts, watched YouTube videos, and just went and executed every single day. And as long as you just go and you execute every single day, it's gonna work. Like, it's going to happen. You have to execute and then just look at how things are going. Don't just keep doing the same thing if it's not going well, but just learn from it and just keep re-executing. Anybody can do it. We put out a video on Instagram. It was like step by step how to make $2,100 a month or something like that in net profit. Yep. And it's literally the easiest thing ever. It is. I'm not just saying it because we posted it. I'm saying it's actually easy to list 5 items a day, 15 hours a week. I think it's like $35 an hour if you're calculating hourly. You can make an extra $2,000 a month working 15 hours a week. Anybody can. I don't care if you live in the middle of a swamp in America. If you can drive to a store where there's thrift stores and you can follow this formula, you can do it. And it's like, but most people won't. And that's the differentiator. And I hope that the people who do listen and want to do it, like, that is what's going to propel you. Like, that's going to be that one little difference, just 1%. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Big psychological effect there. A lot of people just, I think, the culture of today, the easy way out, those people that just have that edge and work on themselves, the quote, "For it to work, you got to work it." And that's so true. In I think, just from what I've learned talking with you guys, you worked harder on yourself than you did at your job. You gained the knowledge, you worked, you learned, you listened, you learned from people that were doing it on a higher level, and then you applied it. So when you walk into the bins and someone new walks into the bins, you can extract $5,000, and the person that's new can only extract $5 because you worked on yourself. And you added that knowledge. You equipped yourself with the tools, the resources to be effective. Just like, for example, tech and sports can walk into the same thrift store and extract a bunch of value versus a person that's only been doing it for maybe a couple years because he worked on himself. And that with anything in life, you want to be better at something, develop skills, work on yourself with anything, relationships, finances, work on yourself, read some books. People ask, "Well, how did you learn that?" And they go, "Same books you ain't reading."
Yep.
How do you learn? How do you learn about compounding interest? Oh, there's a book that teaches about the compound effect. Wow, amazing. How did you learn how to make money? I read books on how to make money. Wow. That's the thing. And I think just the learning of people just stops after school. And I think school kind of damages people because learning is something that's like shoved down your throat. I think learning should be fun. That's why YouTube's fun, because you can listen, you can learn in different ways. So I think you guys are going to do great on YouTube because I think you deep down, you're good teachers, and that's what YouTube needs. Less clickbait stuff and good teachers that bring value that can transform lives. And I didn't want to take up all your guys' day because I know it's probably not a day off for you. But how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out if they just have questions? I do have all the things down below, but what's the best way?
Probably our Instagram. Yeah. At Trash Pandas Thrift. And we have since we've started posting daily on our social media, we have had an outpouring of support, and people message us and just talk with us and connect with us. And for a long time, I was really scared, to be honest, to start posting on our social media and to share, because it's frightening. It's really frightening. I love what we do so much. This is my absolute passion. And more than that, I love teaching. Like it's something else I wanted to do with my life. And just being able to connect with the community it's something that I wish we did sooner. So if any of you guys ever want to chat, feel free to hit us up on Instagram and our DMs. And yeah, we've been having so much fun just talking.
And a shameless plug for the YouTube channel, silly. Look at it. You see how she's sitting there. She's like, I'm so nice. We do have the new YouTube channel as well, which is where we're going to be putting a lot of longer form content for sure. And that's awesome. So hopefully you guys will be able to check us out there. I think it's going to be awesome. Like it's so funny because we have a group that people literally pay to be in, which I'm not even going to shout out because I think that you should follow us on content. Make sure you like us. You like it, then you can go ahead and reach out to us for that.
Yeah.
But we have this group and we literally are just taking all of this like knowledge we're learning from teaching. And we're trying to use that new platform of YouTube and Instagram to share so much of what's helped us and like what's helped our businesses. So we're really excited for these free versions of what we teach. Basically, like just go on there and watch it. A lot of it is diluted, but it's the same exact stuff that we're teaching to people who are paying members of our group that you guys can go and get so much value and just take it and apply it. Like we talked about earlier. If you just take those steps, it's unfiltered, awesome stuff that you guys can go apply. And I'm excited for it for sure.
Me too.
It's a beautiful thing. You guys can follow them linked down below. And if you like learning and you want to be successful in reselling, I suggest you follow them because they're going to be bringing more content, more value to the platform. And it's a good learning from people that are doing it on a big level. You can do it. I'm nobody special. Just, I didn't know anything about clothing prior to 2020. And I still really don't because it's just such a big landscape, and if you think like it's too saturated or you can't make any money, just look at the people's stories and testimonies where they came from, and it should inspire you and give you a little hope that you can do it as well, even if it's just like on a part-time level. I appreciate your guys' time. I know you're busy, and I'll have to have you on again, maybe 6 months, maybe end of summer, just to see where you're at on Whatnot. I really think you guys are going to explode on there. It's pretty crazy. People's lives are being changed on Whatnot, and it's really cool to see. But yeah, I loved the chat. I learned a lot. If you guys are catching it on the replay, comment down below, questions, comments. I'm here for you. Any last words for the audience or viewers before we head out?
I like to close out always whenever we're talking about reselling with you 100%. Like I make a joke when we're in the group. I go up to the camera. I'm like, I'm too close, but the mic is over here. I'm like, you can do it. Like you can build a business. And I think it's so important for people like you, Bo, to be putting out content like this and supporting the community because I don't want to go into the weeds because we were already finishing up the conversation, but Bethany and I were not supposed to be here. Like our actual upbringings, our childhood, our background, we're not supposed to be in a place where we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in anything. That's just not who we're supposed to be. And if you put your mind to it and you try things out and you put your effort out there and you just do the thing, you just do the freaking thing over and over and over again. I think it's awesome, Bo. You said you started in 2020. That's amazing. Like it's so awesome that you've built your business and we follow you as well and how far you've come in your business. And I've only been doing this full time for 2.5, 3 years. And Bethany's only been doing this for 4 years. And you can start today. And if you start today and you just do the thing, you learn from people like Bo, Kaylee, myself, Bethany, you put yourself out there, you just take it and you apply it. Just do the thing over and over and over again. You'll be surprised at how life-changing it can be. A great interview to check out is Hansel. He's a friend of ours from the bins that we go to. He did an interview on Kaylee Elaine's channel. And the dude takes pictures on the floor. He's 20 years old, takes pictures on the floor, and he makes like $17,000, $18,000 a month at 20 years old in sales while full-time in college.
Anyone can do this.
Anyone can do it.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. So hopefully that was a good way to close it out. But I think it's not inspiration. It's not motivation. It's literally just truth. Yeah. 1% better than everybody else. And it's crazy if you're just 1% better, how much you can crush it.
Yep. The popular saying is, I'm out here doing the damn thing. I'm doing it. I'm not talking about it. I'm doing it. Yeah. And that's what I see just from watching you guys on Instagram. You're doing it. You're not talking about it. You're there. you're doing it, and that's key. But I appreciate you guys. We'll have you on in a couple months, and you know, to wrap it all up, you put your mind to it and you do the damn thing, you're gonna see the results. So I appreciate you guys. Anyone watching, have a blessed weekend. We'll catch you on Monday. Thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you guys.